Hello and welcome. This is Quick Save. My name is Dylan, and today I'm joined by my three good friends, Tommy Campbell.
Oh, am I supposed to say something after that?
Yes, whatever you
I thought
want.
you were just gonna. I just thought you were gonna hit all three on the intros.
Oh no. And we'll keep this. So say something.
Oh, fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Is that
Hello?
okay? Perfect. Jacob Campbell
Hey, man.
and Tyler Allen.
Carol might have done it.
All right, so let's just start with the topic. The topic for today is what are some of our most fond or first gaming memories, and how those games or experiences may have influenced your tastes or preferences. Right, Tommy, why don't you start?
All right.
Yeah.
So the first game I owned myself, wasn't just like maybe gifted to me, that I have strong attachments to, is Pokemon Yellow Edition.
Mm-hmm. Classic.
Because it was actually a gift to me, and I can't remember if it was Christmas or birthday, where it came with the special edition Game Boy Color that had Pikachu and Jigglypuff on it. It had the colored up, down, left, right, A, B.
That was like with the blue buttons, right? The yellow.
They were. I want to say that they were actually, the buttons were they blue? It might have been red and green. I don't know. They were colored. The front of the faceplate of it was yellow, and the back part of it was green.
Okay.
Or blue.
Okay.
And it was, it was. I don't know. It just, that stuck with me. Like, being able to actually play on the go, having the Game Boy, like, that was pretty huge. Because I don't own the original Game Boy. Game Boy Color was my first one. I was like 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And getting into the world of Pokemon was incredible. And then also, kind of nice starting with yellow, not red or blue, because I didn't have that struggle of choosing a starter.
Right, so it was just made for you.
You got this. Mm-hmm. This is your starter.
Here's Pikachu.
Okay.
Don't
and
worry.
then I realized, like, as a kid, pretty fast, I wasn't really good at Pokemon. Like, taking Pikachu against Brock, like, they really give you the struggle in Pokemon Yellow, because you're thinking you're on top of the world. You finally learn, like, Quick Attack, and you might possibly have Thunder Shock if you're trained enough by the time you get to him, just for it not to meet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, in Red and Blue, that was, like, easy peasy.
Right, yeah. Right, because you could choose Squirtle, and you got it on the wrap. You could choose Bulbasaur, you got it on the wrap. Choose Charmander, you might go through the same struggle, but you could have chained him up a lot easier going against all the bug Pokemon on the way.
True.
With Pikachu, you're just really
chipping away with the Quick Attack.
canned.
Because you think about it, right? Like, that's just a hard shutdown.
Yeah, it's right. Okay, out the gate, because you didn't really have dual types, I don't believe, back in the original ones too. So it was just your electric Pikachu against Rock Geodude, Rock Onyx, and it's just like, whoa.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The fucking struggle.
But yeah, like, as far as first gaming memories go, like, that was my big first game. There's some others here and there, like getting Dragon Warrior Monster, which is just so out there.
Which is
that it's
weird,
like,
yeah,
it was, like, thinking back to playing it, like, it was a game that, again, as a kid, I was not prepared for. Like, I did not know what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked it up, like, a few years later, like, I want to say when the SPs came out, Game Boy Advance SPs, and, like, I still had the cartridge. I put it in and realized, like, I didn't know, I want to say, like, 12-year-old me realized that 5-6-year-old me was dumb when I was playing it. Right. I was like, man, I had all these options I could do, and I still couldn't beat the game as 11 or 12-year-old me, so it really didn't go.
It's like Dragon Warrior Monster or Dragon Quest Monster?
Dragon Warrior Monsters, yeah.
Right. I mean, that's kind of a similar game to Pokemon, right? It's a monster. It's like
kind of, yeah. Monsters. So you have, like, it's almost, imagine it like a I can't really say that because Pokemon was made in Japan, but imagine, like, you take Pokemon as an RPG where you got your one monster, and then have a JRPG where you have your 3 monster team set up, and you're going forward like that. So, like, that was kind of the big difference, and you didn't catch the monsters, you encouraged them to be on your team.
Okay, so it's a Shin Megami
Sometimes
Tensei.
they like you, and then they're on your team after that. Okay. And there was actually a pretty big, expansive thing of monsters, and there was also, like, monster breeding, but to get different monsters. And so, like, that was actually, that's really when cool. I figured it out, which was, like, a few years later, I was like, wow, this is really cool. And
Those games are so good at just hooking you in because all the different possibilities. I feel like Dylan just mentioned Shin Megami Tensei, and that's kind of like the foundation of that game, and it's just really hard to put those down once it clicks, where you're like, oh, this is what I got to do to push forward. Okay, and you start fusing or farming, whatever you were just talking about.
Yep, that's it for me for that part.
Yeah. All right. Well, shit, Jake. What about you?
All right. So for me, like my first like big entrance into gaming, I guess it was more so like on PlayStation 1. Like I started a little bit, I'm a little bit younger than you guys, so it is like there's like that little gap there when for like I really started. I started mainly on PlayStation 1. I didn't really have a GameCube growing up or anything like that. I actually started on Crash Bandicoot. Like that's my earliest memory. That's my earliest memory that I have playing. And it's like when I went back and like just looked at like different videos for it, right? It was just the goofiest thing, right? Like you're a Bandicoot just running from this giant boulder, like Indiana Jones style, just sprinting from this boulder with this random just tiki dude going booga booga. And then and then it's like if you don't go in time, the boulder just runs you over. And it's just, it really kind of opened up like an appreciation, like looking back on it, like it really makes me appreciate like the goofy side of games, right?
Okay.
Like when you have like all the little jokes in Borderlands, like you see like Claptrap looks at some stairs and then that's his worst enemy because he's on a wheel.
So you appreciate like character in games, right? Like not necessarily characters within a game, but like the game itself as a character, or has the
game itself has like it has like its own personality rather than just like it's just a game with characters in it. The game has its own personality too. And then like I even like look at other games, like it kind of influences me a little bit because when I'm going and trying to like look at other games, like me and Tommy, we were looking at What the Golf. At first, we're sitting there thinking, oh, this is just, it's standard golf game. It looks very goofy. No, the dude swings the club and he goes flying towards the hole.
Okay.
It's awesome.
So, like, I'm probably going to end up picking that up when it goes on sale or something. More of, like, getting into, like, some of the, like, the biggest moment when I realized, like, I'm going to keep gaming. Like, this is something I want to really invest my time into. It was like Christmas when I was way younger. I can't remember when. It was when the Game Boy SPs were first coming out, right?
Early 2000s,
Yeah, like early
like
2003. Like 2003. So I got a black Game Boy SP. And like before I had like the purple Advance, like the standard one, right? So I was super excited. Like I could actually charge up, like I could actually take it around, like I didn't have to stop playing when the batteries ran out or change the batteries. I just had to plug it in and then I could keep playing. And the first game I had on that one was Pokemon Sapphire. Pokemon Sapphire was actually my first Pokemon game that I really got into, right? Like my first starter was Mudkip. Like I had never, like, I didn't play Fire Red first. I didn't play, like, Yellow, Blue. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't play those.
Sapphire was your red, yellow.
Sapphire
blue.
was what I had to go based off of. And I'm not going to lie, like, that probably pushed me towards playing more RPGs. Like, that was my first RPG. And I think that's kind of the case for a lot of people, right? Because Pokemon is like a very like simplistic one that's very easy to understand. Like, all right, this type goes against this type, and this type doesn't go against this type. You know what I mean? So you
Don't
kind
tell
of get
that
into
to 6-year-old me.
I'm gonna make this Pikachu kill this Onix no matter how hard. Yeah.
No, I watched the anime. That's how it worked.
Yeah, that is. He overcame the whatever.
He worked so
Lightning.
hard.
You gotta pop off those sprinklers system.
Hours and 0 badges later.
But okay, yeah. So Sapphire.
But yeah, those were kind of my big moments. Really, I mean, I have some other ones like I'll play Rocket League all the time, or I used to play Rocket League all the time with Tommy, and like just getting those passes. Like I used to be like set up the passes a lot. That was my favorite thing to do, and there was this one lucky one, right, where I popped it up in the air. and then you see Tommy just like kind of scooting by. I can't remember if he had like the taco boost trail or something. I really don't remember what boost it was, but I just remember laughing at the boost, and you just see him slowly going through in his dominance and slam the ball into the goal, and it looked like instant.
It was like one of the first aerial goals too. I was upside down. I had no control over my car. It just happened to be there as Jake pops it up, and it slams back down. That was definitely like a big moment too. I think for us both playing Rocket.
Like, yeah, the fact that you both remember it. I mean, that says something.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so, Tyler, how are you feeling?
So the earliest one that I can think of that, or at least probably like, it's not the earliest, but it's definitely the most impactful, was actually Majora's Mask.
Okay.
So I was kind of late to the Zelda party in that regard. I know that like Ocarina of Time had sort of just dominated by that point. And but I had never played it, and I don't even remember what had led up to it. Fuck, I'm old. So I'd gotten like straight A's on a report card or something, right? And like my mom kind of liked video games, but never like really encouraged me to spend too much time doing it, because I think she had some concerns about just sitting in the house all the time.
Right.
Casual flex.
Yeah, right. But she's like, fuck it, we're going to Funko Land, because that's what it was called at the time. And I was going to pick out a Nintendo 64 game, and like the guy at the counter recommended that, and I didn't really know anything about it. Like, I recognized Link from Super Smash Brothers, but I'd never played any of his games.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I just put it in, and just like, I don't know, it's just immediately drawn into the atmosphere of the games, because it's just so dense. Like, from the moment that you start, you know, like as soon as you see that forest and like this kind of weird, like gray, purple, brown tone, just, I don't know, it just like at the time it just blew my mind. Like, he had the sword, it was just so sick, you know. 7-year-old me's mind was like blown. And just, I don't know, it was the first game that I like really wanted to beat, like to see to the end. Like, I'd played on the Super Nintendo and stuff, like games like Donkey Kong Country and Mega Man X, and like kind of really enjoyed those. But I guess, I don't know if it's because of age or what, but like this was the first one I was just really compelled to like accomplish, like beat. Now, I was like a dumb 7-year-old and couldn't do it without a guide and all my neighbors' help. But I don't know, this, some of those the themes in the game too, just like this sort of like almost like harrowing sense of dread that's throughout the whole game. Like, God, I guess I was a fucked up kid, because it was just really cool to me, like that there was just this sort of like dreary tone to it, but you could still kind of like do something about it. And I remember it took me like 7 months to beat that game, some crazy ludicrous amount of time, because again, I was a dumb 7-year-old. But like I distinctly remember just like watching those end credits and like hearing just the little the tune that they had made for the end of it. You know, Koji Kondo, like greatest composer for games ever. But it's such a distinct memory in my head, just because it was like this sensation of accomplishment that really only games can provide. So yeah, from there I was smitten. Had to play like everything else, you know, especially adventure games like that.
Was that your first like narrative, like focused game?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to consider Pokemon, like I know that's like,
that's pretty loose.
I got to third that. Yeah, Pokemon Blue is probably like the first game that maybe that was actually the first game I'd gotten into, but still just less impactful, at least emotionally, than Majora's Mask was.
Right. Yeah. Because you don't.
Like,
I mean, you have like your character, but you name it, right? Whereas in Majora's Mask, you're Link. You're playing his story. Yeah.
Exactly. Like there's clearly like a predetermined lore to some degree to it, even if they let you name your character and everything, you know. And also, like, I guess it was because it was one of the first worlds that I felt like it was going to exist with or without you, which I think it was even kind of uncommon for the time too. Because, you know, you had to restart, like, you know, you only had 3 days to stop the moon from just like crushing this place. And like, even then, you still had people who were just like, I don't give a shit that the moon's falling. I'm going to keep carrying wood and moving my mouth. And just, I don't know, just that sort of disparity between like, you know, your goal as the player and like the NPC's goals as people who are about to get smushed by the moon. it was cool, just a lot of nuance, I think, included in that they didn't even have to, especially considering the short development time of that game.
Yeah, that was like a year after Ocarina of Time came out, so they didn't have too much time to write a story. They obviously reused assets, but yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, it's not often can you reuse assets to that degree and still come up with something so original.
Mm-hmm.
And
in a lot of ways, like, yeah. Damn. All right. And do you have any other ones?
I guess I gotta say Pokemon Blue, because I know it was probably like one of my first like key multiplayer gaming experiences, like playing in the after-school program and like having someone like teach you how to duplicate Pokemon and Pokemon Silver.
With the PC.
Like little things like that, like really make that game, or those. I guess it was Blue and Silver. Just I don't really remember. It's all kind of hazy, but between the two of those, all the different interactions and things like that it would bring, that would naturally come about between you and other Pokemon players, who was basically everyone if you were a kid in the late 90s. So,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just cool.
Yeah, I remember, like, when we would all play Pokemon, like, you guys, we would all trade, like, you would have to, back then when you had the Game Boys, you had to get the cord, and you had to plug it in to each Game Boy, and then you had to, do all the trading, and now it's wireless. Now you can even do it over the internet. Like, there's all different things, like Pokemon's evolved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And it hasn't. It hasn't.
It used to be like super, like it used to be super, super big. I mean, it still is, don't get me wrong, but like locally, it would be like super big. Like you would have like everyone at school playing it. I mean, it even kind of reminds me a little bit about like when I was in elementary school, right? We would like the after school program, like, everyone knows about it, right? So you have to stay after school, you're waiting on your mom and dad to come pick you up. So you do like your homework and shit. And then you go onto the computers and play games. And then I remember everyone would either like play Pokemon or they would log on and play RuneScape. RuneScape was huge in elementary school. You would have people like going together to the wild, going and fighting each other. Some of them would be like, all right, you hold my items, you hold my items, and then they'll go at it. Like they would just go square up. Sometimes they would go to the arena. You would like throw tomatoes at them in the arena.
Yeah, RuneScape was definitely like a big one for me as well. Like thinking about playing that in like starting like 2005, like, and I want to say you, Dylan, were the one who actually got me like first started to play it and stuff.
Yeah. That's how we kept in touch for a while.
Yep. Sneaking onto the computer and getting on to play RuneScape 7 in the morning before school.
Man, those were the days. Yeah, early RuneScape. I mean, it's still pretty vivid. Like just
definitely, I think shaped my love for playing like MMOs and RPGs combined. Like just getting on there and it's because it really is just a big time waster. Like you're just chopping trees or something, and it's almost like you can just AFK it. So it's like you're really just staring at a screen as you chop trees.
I mean, it's kind of like just a soothing, relaxing experience. It can be, right? There are aspects of that game that, like the wilderness, right? The wild. That was a stressful time.
Really like coming full circle. Like you start off either being a skiller or maybe going to the wild and PKing, and then you kind of come full circle where it's like I'm tired of making alts and doing low level PKing, and I don't feel like investing the time into a character and become a member just to go through and PK in like the 80s, 90s, so I'm just gonna go skill for years.
By the way, I'm selling Addy armor. DM for details.
Yo, I'll gold trim your black armor. Just
duping rune items. Come see me in World 1.
Man, I remember just
Grand Exchange.
Who?
Didn't you get scammed out of some armor?
I did. No, I remember.
You fucking would.
I would. I absolutely would. No, I remember distinctly playing a lot of RuneScape at another friend's house, Dean. We used to play a lot of RuneScape. It used to be the three of us, me, Tommy, Dean. And I remember, one night sleeping over his house, I managed to somehow get some black armor from someone for free. I was like, this is incredible. And someone was like, oh, I'll trade you full rune for black. And I was like, hell yeah. He's like, you just got to give it to me first, and I'll go grab my rune. And me being like an 8-year-old, a dummy, right, was like, hell yeah, dude. And no, I lost it. I went from like 0 to 100 back to 0 in a matter of hours. Being at the top of the world, getting free black armor, thinking that was the pinnacle of RuneScape. But no.
Sorry, man.
It's all right.
It's almost been enough time to pass for you to,
Now, you know what? Playing RuneScape as an adult, it definitely, like, I was able to accomplish so many things that my younger self would have loved, right? Like, I remember, party hats probably have declined exponentially in price, but I remember, like, just a couple years ago logging on and being able to buy one, and it was just, like, that, a Santa hat, a Halloween mask, right? Like, just checking all these childhood boxes.
Well, I'm gonna burst that bubble. When they came out with Classic, you can get them for free now.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh my god.
All right, well. All right. Damn. But yeah, no, RuneScape definitely, I think for myself, is one of the biggest influences. I think right up there with Pokemon, right? We're all kind of on the same page.
Right.
The social aspect of gaming really kind of was shown to me through those two games, both in-game and outside of game, right? Like each, like Pokemon Blue, yeah, playing at the school, or like the neighborhood kids, and just like, oh, I got this Pokemon, what do you got? And like some Pokemon were only achievable through trading, right? Like Machamp and Gengar, you could only get through trading, and back then there was no internet, so it's not like everybody knew how to get them, so it was even more special when you did. And there were, like, I don't know, those surprises back then. I definitely appreciate as an adult having the internet and being able to streamline a lot of bullshit. Like, I don't have this sort of time that I did when I was a kid. But
where you could just sit there and like go trial and error over and over and over.
Or just be surprised. Like, that, I think that's the one thing I miss about, like, back then is the surprise.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have that nowadays.
Hard to come by now.
Mm-hmm. Like, you'd have to go on total media blackout in order to get any of that.
Yeah, a big time for me, like, thinking about when Silver and Gold came out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when Yellow came out, you kind of, or, Yellow, Red, Blue, the anime had been out for a little bit, so you kind of saw some. So you get into it, and it's like, hey, I've seen these, and so that kind of gives it, a little bit of a connection there. And it's like Silver and Gold, I don't think the anime had quite caught up to that yet, so when those came out, that was so many new and unseen Pokemon, and especially being younger and like not really using the internet, not having access to it, and so you're just completely going in completely unknown to this entire new world of something that you already love. Like, that was so huge.
Oh yeah.
I remember, like, getting on the bus, and one of my friends, Joseph, brought in his copy of Game Informer, and it was the first time anybody saw the 3 starters for Silver and Gold, like Chikorita, Totodile, and Cyndaquil, and it was just like oh my god, what is this?
Mind-blowing.
Yeah, and even just like, because during like the first anime, or the first whatever, Togepi was introduced, and that wasn't in Red and Blue and Yellow, and it was like, what is this Pokemon? How do we get that Pokemon? I think Meryl was even one of the first ones seen. And it was just like,
because there was the Orange Islands in the anime where they dropped Brock for Tracy.
Yeah, Tracy. Beloved Tracy.
And then I think we did actually have the Pokemon 2000 movie, I think, was the second one.
Yep.
And we saw like Lugia and Slowking and very few, but we still did see some of those Pokemon and knew nothing about them. And even then, like, getting a Slowking, like, if I remember correctly, it was not an easy Pokemon to get in Silver and Gold.
No, it was you had to get the Kingstone, and then you had to
trade King's Rock and trade it. Yeah.
But even then, like, you think back to
how would you have known?
Exactly. Even the first episode of Pokemon, you see Ho-Oh, right? And back then it was just like, is that a Fearow? That looks like a Fearow.
It's just a bird.
Is that? Yeah. But no, it's crazy.
Some of that mysticism, is definitely just like completely removed once you've once the internet was introduced, like it was just gone.
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully, I think there are still some games that foster communities that respect that, like, your individual discovery of certain things is still kind of paramount to the enjoyment of that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess Dark Souls has probably been talked about to death at this point, but for at least a little while, like, get good was all you were really going to hear about from that game. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just a certain respect, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
that can be paid to games, but that's not always the case because sometimes spoilers show up on Reddit in like 24 hours for a game.
Or a
And
week
it's just
before
like,
a game comes out.
what the hell?
Data miners,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah, obnoxious.
Which I'm definitely at fault. I definitely like my fair share of leaks. God, I remember leading up to Sun and Moon, the whole Pokedex was like leaked, and I was like, "Give me it! I want to know."
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I
Definitely
was super
culture
into
now.
that. Oh yeah, leak culture. That's a
I
whole
can't get into
topic. No, it depends. Like there are definitely some things that I want to go in as blind as I can, but then like I don't know, there are some things I'm just like, nah, dude, spoil me. I just want that little bit of serotonin right now. Give me that right now.
See, my thing is like if it's for sure coming out, like something that's as solid and consistent of a franchise's Pokemon, then like that I can overlook because I just know like, all right, in October, November, I'm just gonna see what all the fuss is about anyway,
Mhm.
regardless. I think it really has to like straddle the line of like, is this actually gonna come out? Because not everything like actually comes to.
No.
What I'm saying is I may or may not have a rip of Yandi on my computer is kind of the point that I'm getting at. There's a time and place for leak culture.
Oh my god, I forgot about that one. That's fair.
But yeah, getting back to like wanting things to feel new again. I remember when I first got into Elder Scrolls. Like Skyrim was the one I played. Like I didn't play Oblivion. I know I'm a heathen. I didn't play Oblivion.
Sorry.
I didn't
We forgive
really know
you.
about it then.
Morrowind
Or
is
people
really
out
where
there
it
saying-
started.
Right, yeah. I was going to say people are out there still saying you're a heathen for not mentioning Morrowind.
Yeah, then there are also people claiming that Arena is the best Elder Scrolls or
God.
something,
Oh
you
my
know?
god.
Garbage.
Smart people.
But
Fuck you, Tyler.
nonetheless, like when I first, I started playing Skyrim, right?
Mhm.
I flat out didn't even know that there were perk points. So I made it to level 25, right?
Mhm.
Didn't even put a single perk point in. I was wondering why I was dying so much, like why this game was so hard.
Mhm.
Like, and then I look and I'm like, wow, what are all these points? Like I didn't even know that there was a skills thing. Like I thought I was just leveling up. And
you went through the whole game like that?
I went to level 25
That's impressive.
without
Dude, that
putting any perk points in.
You
When
turned
it
on
could have
hard
made the
mode.
game so much easier.
It's funny
And
is
then-
I did something similar in Oblivion like that, but not with perk points. I did it with fast travel.
Same.
I didn't realize there was
Oh.
fast travel in the game. So my first memory was coming out of the sewers and stealing a horse just outside the Imperial City and having the guards after me and just running until my horse got killed by a wolf in the wilderness and having to walk the rest of the way to Kvatch. And getting there finally, closing the first Oblivion gate and realizing I had to walk all the way back to the Imperial City that I just came from, and just I actually it turned off the game for a little bit. I came back, played it some, looked at the map, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna set a marker here so I know how to get there." And it's like, "Do you want to fast travel this location?" I said, "Oh,
My god.
oh my goodness."
I
Man.
remember I did the same thing, but it was more with the High Hrothgar,
Oh,
and I
man.
didn't know I could fast travel there. I thought it was like the one location you couldn't fast travel to, right?
Oh, so you
So,
just climb.
I go to Iverstead, right? The city that's right below it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I gotta make this climb again. And then I make the climb again. And I keep doing it. And I even beat the game like that. I beat the whole game. So you already know I had to do that twice and then go even further beyond that more than
Bro.
once. You know what I mean? Like it's
Just blows
How
my
did you
mind.
even enjoy it? Like, what did you like about that game?
it's actually my favorite game of all time. Like I've played
It
through that
must be.
game.
Mhm.
I bought the game twice, and I've put it over, I want to say 500 hours on console and PC. Like, I've put in some time into that game.
It's a good one to put a lot of time into. There's just so much like well written content. Like not that you can't, not that there isn't flaws in the game itself, but like I feel like few games are as consistently interesting as Skyrim as far as like actually getting invested in it. You know, just sinking yourself into that world, that full immersion, which I think is really like, or was Bethesda's strong suit. So
it still is here and there. I don't like. It's weird, yeah. For Bethesda as a company,
we don't gotta get into that.
No, that's a whole thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in a similar boat with the both of you. Whereas my first experience with Oblivion was I rented it from Movie Gallery on the 360, because I think it came first to the 360 rather than the PlayStation.
I believe so.
And I remember in the what is it, the caves, or you're in the dungeon or whatever, you're trying to escape.
Sewers?
The sewers, yeah. And I became overburdened and didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know what the word meant. I didn't know what to do, so I stopped, returned the game, thought it was a piece of shit.
Wow.
Yeah, I hated it. I was like, this is garbage. Why are we playing this? And then, yeah, got it. Didn't know about fast traveling in Oblivion. Didn't know about leveling up. I just realized that there was like this icon in the corner of my screen, and I was like, what does that mean? You know, come to find out 15, 16 levels later, you know, I had to level up. I think you had to go to sleep to level up or something?
Yes.
Yeah, so
which is not super clear if I remember correctly.
No.
So, yeah, threw me off. And then, yeah, I mean, Oblivion is one of my favorite games of all time, you know, now. But to think back to, like, being just confused by overburdened. Yeah.
To be fair, I also think that like my issue with like the overburdening thing, and like I know other people have shared the sentiment, but the thing is like if I can carry 5 like giant broadswords and 5 giant shields and 10 sets of armor, why are we stopping at 11?
Right.
Because I already can't carry all of that. Don't try to implement realism.
Right.
9 suits of armor deep or 10 suits of armor deep. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I played Oblivion after Fallout 3, which kind of like I probably didn't connect with it in the same way that you guys did because of that. Because I just felt like Fallout 3 was it may have just suited my particular taste better. Like I just really
genre.
like the Americana theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, it's kind of like hard to. I think it was hard to get as invested in it after seeing some of the weird quirks that they had fixed in their next release.
Man, Fallout 3. Yeah, I mean, Bethesda probably is one of the companies like that I have the most fond memories of, like all of their games. Fallout 3, New Vegas, Oblivion, Skyrim, like
Fallout 4 even.
Fallout. Yeah, well, not really. Half of Fallout 4. Half of Fallout 4 is fine.
I love Fallout 4.
Other settlement needs your assistance.
Oh god, fuck that dude.
I got so into building the settlements, and then I went and bought the 20-hour expansion.
Oh god.
Like it was like Lost Harbor.
Oh yeah. Lost Harbor was pretty cool.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Like you went to this
I
whole
actually
other
never
island.
beat Fallout 4.
I didn't either.
You didn't miss much. Oh, hot take.
No. Well, it's weird though, because like for me, like so Jake, you were really into the building, whereas like, I mean, I think we've all played Minecraft. I was really into Minecraft. We all were.
Yep.
And that game's all
We all did
building.
our faction servers.
Right. But like building in any other game is a complete 100% turn off for the most part. There are some exceptions.
Freeform building is where is always like fun, like Terraria, Minecraft, Starbound, even like just having the freedom to build what you want. Whereas I feel like in a game like Fallout 4 with the settlement building, I didn't really enjoy it because it was still you had like this bubble, and it was like you can do maybe some additions here and there. Maybe here's this preset house and you can make that there or something like that. But it's like I couldn't make my awkwardly shaped L house if I wanted to.
Or you couldn't make like anything that would have to do with like the terrain. Like the ground would always stay where it is, and it's like if there was a tiniest hill, then you wouldn't be able to put something there that was flat.
Yeah, too restrictive in that regard.
Yeah.
And see, what gets me about the building in Fallout 4 is that where I don't necessarily think it was that bad, and like some games can have cool like building mechanics can fit into them kind of okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know that a lot of other Fallout fans share the sentiment that it felt kind of watered down from like a role playing perspective, because you basically had like a bunch of different ways to say yes. Like, do you want to say yes like a nice guy, or do you want to say yes like an asshole, or
it was kind of shallow.
Say yes.
Yeah.
That's all it was. And I felt like, I know that those building mechanics, like, now I don't know what their internal development team looks like or what teams were doing what, but it just seemed like a very strange place. Like, building seemed like a strange
addition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not
very
what I
weird
would have
place to
expected.
put your manpower in. And it felt like other things lost some of their sheen because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually kind of cool to hear that somebody like got some enjoyment out of got a lot of enjoyment out of the building system. Because I mean, at least it wasn't developed for nothing,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's clearly some like value to it, but
At
yeah,
least Jake
kind
liked
of
it.
kicking the shin.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a 1 and 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so
Hey.
glad that I spent probably 120 collectively on it
Yeah.
across a couple.
Oh yeah,
consoles.
you know what's
So
funny?
Jake
I
can have a
got
good time.
the collector's edition of that too.
Me too. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite collector's editions.
I mean, it's super cool.
it has no affiliation with Fallout 4 as a like a specific thing, but just Fallout in general.
Which is nice, yeah, because you get the Pip-Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you can
That's
put your
pretty
phone
cool.
in it, but only if it's this size.
Only if it's the Galaxy 7 or 8 or iPhone S4 or whatever the fuck. Yeah, they gave you all those weird cutouts for them. I never did it. It's just
Not even once.
it's cool, just to look at. But,
Yep. You can reminisce of the days where Fallout was a
oh,
game.
man, high point, man.
service.
Oh my god. That's all. Oof. That's another thing.
Fallout first, boys.
All right.
Oh boy.
All right. All right. So that was we stayed on track there. We stuck to our topic. We got a little reminiscing in there, a little throwbacks. Kind of definitely makes me want to go back and actually play some RuneScape right now, as a matter of fact. But thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this, guys. I appreciate it. It definitely isn't the smoothest that I'd like, but it's a work in progress, right? It's the first one. So yeah. Anything you guys would like to end with?
Look forward to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah. Look forward to episode number 2.
Episode number 2. All right. Tyler, any input?
Don't leave on the nostalgia goggles.
Okay. Fair enough.
True.
True.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. Until next time.